What's up, everybody? It's Chris again from therewiredsoul.com, and today I want to introduce you to a mentor of mine, Dr. Judson Brewer. A lot of you have asked in the comments section, am I personally a doctor? No, I am not. All of the information I bring to you are from men and women who are doing great things in the field of neuroscience, psychiatry, and mental illness. Basically, I'm doing a bunch of the research so you don't have to. Dr. Judson Brewer is one of those amazing people. His credentials come from the Washington School of Medicine. He also did his residency for psychiatry at Yale School of Medicine. I don't know if you've heard of this place, Yale, but it's got some pretty smart folks up in there. He also has done a couple TED Talks, and here's a clip.
It turns out that we're fighting one of the most evolutionarily conserved learning processes currently known in science. One that's conserved back to the most basic nervous systems known to man.
I had some people in the comment section asking me to talk about addiction as well as dependency. I cannot talk about dependency without bringing up the work that Dr. Judson Brewer is doing. I highly recommend that you pick up his new book called The Craving Mind. It talks about everything from cigarettes to smartphones to love. He talks about how these habits form and what we can do to break them. Before I get started talking about Dr. Judson Brewer's work, let's talk about this guy, B.F. Skinner. Early in the 20th century, this man was doing a lot of work with something called context-dependent memory. If you've taken a psychology course, you've probably heard his name. We're geared towards things that give us positive rewards, and we turn away from things that give us negative rewards. Our brains are constantly in a state of attraction and aversion. We chase after the things we want, we push away the things that we don't want. Dr. Judson Brewer talks about context-dependent memory with something called the habit loop. Now, to fully understand the habit loop, understand that it's part of our evolution with our brains. We needed this back in the primitive days. We needed this back when we were cavemen. What this is three parts: a trigger, a behavior, and a reward. What that does is it lays down a memory and it says, go do that again. The way that I can best explain this is there was a caveman. He was hungry. He had that trigger. The behavior was that he found food and he ate food. He received a reward. He was no longer hungry. That gave him a shot of dopamine. Now put that into context when we're talking about drug addiction. What they do is they experience anxiety, trigger. They drink some alcohol, all of a sudden they calm down, and that's the reward. So the next time they experience anxiety, the brain immediately says, go do that again. Well, the next time, maybe the person gets angry, right? The brain says, well, remember that alcohol thing? That gave us a reward, let's do that. Eventually, the triggers just start to grow and grow and grow, and every single time that loop is completed, it creates a stronger and stronger memory. Every time somebody repeats that loop, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. There are two parts of the brain that are responsible for what gets us into a lot of trouble. The nucleus accumbens is what creates dopamine. It's the partier. It wants us to do what will give us the quickest route to dopamine. What that does is that it then communicates with the dorsal striatum, and the dorsal striatum says, oh, that thing that we did to get dopamine, yeah, we'll do that again. Eventually, when you create this habit over and over and over, the nucleus accumbens doesn't even have to do any work. The dorsal striatum is now on autopilot. The problem with the dorsal striatum is that it does not decipher the difference between good and bad. It just wants you to be on autopilot and redo different actions that have given you pleasure in the past. This is why so many people with addictions, even though they know it's bad, they feel this pull. A ton of the comments on my other video talks about how this is a choice. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for logical decision making. So what happens is that when that dorsal striatum goes on autopilot, it will always beat out the prefrontal cortex. It's like going full throttle with the engine of your car and your brakes are cut. That is how powerful the dorsal striatum is. This is why so many addicts, they don't want to use, but they have to because of their psychological dependence. Once again, don't forget to pick up Dr. Judson Brewer's book, The Craving Mind. You can also pick up my book. It's called Hope. Both are available on Amazon. If you have any more questions about addiction, post them in the comments below. I love answering questions because it means people are curious. Curiosity leads to knowledge, knowledge leads to wisdom, and wisdom helps us end the stigma of addiction and increase awareness. This is Chris from therewiredsoul.com, and I'll see you next time.